Sometimes when they see me, they tell me I'm the devil. I ask them, have you ever seen the devil? If they can see the devil, then you know the devil. This is what the devil thinks. Jab is about history in our island every day. Some of our ancestors who came and died here for us. And I was part of that. My family was part of that. So what we did, we disguised ourselves. We get the ring of the slave master, who's to take advantage of our breath. So you had a night, we all come together with molasses, get some corn, take the posy, and disguise ourselves in the bush and get rid of the slave master. That is about our culture. It's about history. Indeed, it's about our ancestors fought for us, for freedom. When that time come around, carnival time come around, just that feeling of breaking out, that feeling of freedom, just naturally, you just feel to get on, do whatever. JabJab, one love, Jab and Ole Mas. You know, people love playing Jab, but the reason for playing Jab is for playing for your ancestors who paved the road, the way for us black people in the Caribbean. That is JabJab. And JabJab will never stop playing.
All this bag was empty was filled back at but those still out. So in a short while, they will be full it. We got culture woman in us. Yes, that is what we are looking at, not just like it. Just like it.
Country of love. You like how I do? Country of love. The country life is a different life. And I personally, I give respect to the country. Because when you go and have people in the country come down and want to come up with you, and all kind of things, you know, and the country do have love. Growing up in Trinidad nicely, our island small, but we full of culture. from the coals that cover my body to the cohort on my head, I carry a tradition that will live for many generations. Greece is our little paradise.
Check. Oh, it is working. Are you enjoying yourself so far?
Yes.
Was that a little informative or insightful to you?
Yes.
So do I have anyone from Grenada in the audience? I see greens flags around people, and I know, and they're not claiming greens.
I'm not from there, but I go there quite often.
Okay, so you visit Grenada quite often. Yeah. So let's do a pulse check again for those who are just coming in. I am Empress J. I am your hostess and one for today. I'm also an international Caribbean artist. I don't say soca artist because I do various genres of music. So I say Caribbean artist. And to Grenada this year. Am I walking into the dead spot? Okay, let me stay back here. All right. So I went to Grenada for the first time this year, and it was so impactful that I felt it necessary to talk about the history of Jab and Ole Mas, traditional Mass, because I feel like as we grow as a Caribbean culture and we expose it around the world, we still need to educate. It's okay to share, but we also need to educate so that there is respect. Agree? Agree?
Yes.
This is a conversation. So y'all can disagree with me. I'll meet you in the parking lot. No. So that was what inspired me to want to put together this symposium. And it's not my first symposium. So can y'all hear me if I just on? Or y'all need the mic?
I can hear you.
I'm from the theater, so we have to project because we don't have mics when we're on stage. So I was inspired, but not only just from going to Grenada. I've done symposiums with this beautiful lady in the past. I'm also the CEO and co-CEO and co-founder of Afro-Caribbean Festival. We created a carnival experience in Freetown, Sierra Leone, West Africa. So we brought the Caribbean culture back to its roots. And from that, what we always try to do in the symposiums is show you that cultural connection. Because it came from somewhere, and there's so many similarities. And I think sometimes, although we live in an information age, I think within our cultures we live in such a bubble that we don't even connect. Because believe it or not, a lot of old calypso, kaiso music plays in Africa, and they think it's African music. They don't even know that it comes from the islands, that is kaiso, that is calypso, and they grew that is zouk, and they grew up on it. So my business partner is from Sierra Leone, and we had this conversation as we were developing this project. And it was like, no, that's a calypso song. And it was like, no, we grew up singing that. So there's so much connectivity, even to characters like Armoko Jumbi. In Sierra Leone, they call him Mama Para. And it's the same thing. So there is so much rich connection throughout the world to the Caribbean and its culture, to African culture, and how it's connected. And then when I went to Grenada this year, it just felt grounding, and it was time again to spread the word. And also, I've been a long-standing supporter and practitioner with Miami Carnival. I would like to really thank them for helping sponsor this event. I went to them and I was like, I want to bring a jab from Grenada who has a story. And they were like, well, they can't play Jab at Juve because of the oil. We'll get into that another time. But it was a great suggestion. Thank you, John Beckford. It's like connect with the museum, and this is how this is worked. So I like to thank the museum as well for hosting us, and this will not be the last time. We will definitely be contributing. I think this is a wonderful we live in Washington, D.C. area, so I would love to see something like this there as well. So I'm going to push for franchise. Franchise. She didn't hear that yet, but franchise. Yeah, she don't know. I'm gonna push it. So we're going to get into the symposium part of it. If y'all don't mind, you have any questions, suggestions, good or order?
Um, do you know the person who made the documentary?
I do not know personally, but the person in the video is here and they can tell me.
Cool.
How about that? Oh, I did have the question. I said I saw a Grenada flag. I know y'all see this Bayesian flag because I represent that 346 Barbados. Yes. Oh, man. So, anyone else represent the Caribbean in here?
Jamaica.
Jamaica's in the building. Trinidad is in the building. Haiti, suck my say. Hey, all of the states.
I was hoping we had somebody from Dominica in the audience.
Hey, I did some booyah music this year too. Where are you from? Haiti. Let's go. Sir, who just slid in the door, where are you representing? Colors alone. I need to see the flag. Breeze in the building. Breeze in the building. Anywhere else? Look, the two young ones back there, real shy. I hope she doesn't bother us. I will bother you the entire time. Get used to it. I'm going to call on you. I'm going to look at you. You're going to be engaged. Class is in session. Hello. Good afternoon.
Is this the whole family?
Yeah. Oh. I'm just sitting here, but we are all family.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome, family. We is all family. So we are going to sit and enjoy family time.
Okay.
Yay.
Y'all, Mike, y'all need the mic. It's like, okay, we won't strain your voice. All right. So we're gonna get started. At any time you want to get some light refreshments, they're back there. I know it's a little warm, they're working on the air, something happened. Of course it would happen today, but it's okay. We're just gonna feel like we're in the islands. That's all. That's it. We giving you the real authentic. We said this was authentic jab, right? Authentic jab and traditional math. Well, we traditionally gonna be hot today with a little fan breeze. So I'm not gonna bring the other panelists out just yet, but right now I would like to introduce your first panelist who has a presentation for you. Her name is Latasha Sarah Nefertari Fateh. And I'm gonna let her tell a little bit about herself. I gave you a little of my background, just a little bit. But I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about her, and then she's gonna give you a presentation. After that, because we're in a paperless kind of world, no paper today, so I'm gonna tell you the program. She will present, speak, then we will have our short mean representation here, and then we will have our jab representative, and then we will have a conversation and talk back. Sound like a good plan? Great, sounds like a good plan. See, I'm a Mac person. I am all thumbs when it comes to this. Sorry. I just started a new job and they gave me some Windows thing. I said, what is this? I keep emailing IT. This is not working. So without further ado, put your hands together for, I'm going to just say Dr. Fati.
Good evening. It's carnival. It's carnival. pretty mass for many, many years. And although I would play pretty mass, I felt like it was something more. And so I come from 4 generations of educators, and I dug a little deeper. I wanted to know what it has to be more than this. It has to be more than bikinis and beads and jump and wave, and it has to be more. So I began to study. I have a degree in African American studies. I started to spend a lot of time in Africa connecting the dots. So I spent a lot of time in Guinea-Bissau doing carnival, Senegal doing carnival, Ghana. I wanted to know what more. It has to be something more than this. So I began to connect the dots. What we were seeing out there, and we were thinking it was all about jumping and waving, or we thought that it was devil worship, I was seeing the same thing in Africa. Almost identical to what we saw in the Caribbean. I saw horns, cow horns. I saw paint. I saw mud. I saw oil. I saw chains. I found that they were reenacting the same things that we were reenacting on this side. I danced West African dance, and there's a dance that we danced from the Senegal region called Ingrid. And it was a dance where we mimicked pulling down the chain. And so I knew that this was something that we all were feeling, and we all were acting it out. We all were operating in a form of resistance when we were out there on the road. Has anybody ever played mass? Pretty mass? Dirty mass? Okay. Now, has anybody ever played mass in the Caribbean? Juve, in particular. Okay. What did you feel? What did you feel?
That was the first time I was actually playing mass in the Caribbean, but never played mass in Jamaica.
Okay.
So that was like years ago.
Okay.
That I did do it. And it's very different from the way they have here. It's different. I love it. So,
Okay. Was it freeing? Liberating? Like something was happening here. And if you listen to the music often, soca, calypso, paiso, it talks about the spirit taking over me. I feel possessed. I'm a soca junkie. So you hear all of these things. It's talking about something that's happening inside. So we know that we feel it. So today we are going to connect these dots. So when someone asks you, why are you doing this, you'll be able to tell them why. Okay? So we're going to start here. Mass must play. All right. What is mask? Mask is short for masquerade, right? To disguise oneself. Masquerading has a lengthy history that spans from Africa to Asia. So it's not just a Caribbean thing. It's not just one country. Masquerading traditionally held a level of spiritual significance. Thus, masks and costumes were often used in religious ceremonies. Many ethnic groups in Africa were known to don masks and elaborate costumes to communicate with deities, nature, and those who passed on. It is in Africa that the Greeks learned of not only masquerading, but the practice of holding festive celebrations to not only ask the deities for favorable outcomes, bountiful harvest, but to thank them as well. So these practices were transported into Europe. Particularly initially, it was a Greco-Roman culture that they were actually bringing this in. So as they came into Europe, they realized they were looking at particularly the festival from Kemet, which is the name for ancient Egypt. They saw this festival, particularly this festival of this Shambhu festival. They saw it and they knew that somehow or another it was something that was very powerful. That it was a festival of harvest, it was a festival of fertility, because they wanted to have a bountiful harvest year. And at the end, you also thanked, the divine creative forces for that harvest year. So they took this and transported it into Europe, and it became a part of their culture. They said, this particular spiritual force or energy that they are celebrating, we have one too. And so it was Dionysus or Bacchus. So Bacchus or Dionysus, one is the Greek Dionysus, the other one is the Roman Bacchus. So they begin to celebrate something called Bacchanalia. Okay? How many times have you heard the word bacchanal, 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 bacchanal? Did anybody ever wonder what is this? Did anybody know where that word came from? Okay. It's because of the celebration of Bacchanalia. And so this is how the word came in. Now, I don't want you to look at this and think, oh, see, this was theirs. Because remember, they modeled this after what they saw in Africa. The yam festivals, the harvest festivals, the festival of Shemu. They saw these things and they said, okay, well, we'll bring them in, and we know they're powerful, but let's apply them to what we look at. So that's what happened there. To this day, the Greeks still there's a festival called Apocryphus in Greece. Anybody ever been to Greece?
No.
Okay, so it's the Greek carnival. So they still celebrate Dionysus. Full on regalia, masquerade. So this is the early depiction of Bacchanalia. Okay? When you don't quite understand something, you can take elements back and they become very distorted. And so what they saw was they were celebrating and it looks like they're drinking wine and they're just having a ball. So let's just come out there and do what they're doing. So it became a festival of lewdness. Okay? Initially, this was something that was only for women. So even now you hear the song, Carnival is woman, Carnival is girl, girl, girl. Carnival was initially only for women. Later on, it became something that men became a part of. So when they say Carnival is woman, that is what they mean. Okay? This is Apocryphus in Greek. And so you see there's masquerading, you see the color. Every year, pre-Lenten celebration, there they are, celebrating, having a carnival. Didn't go anywhere. Masquerading, balls, something that actually gave birth to carnival, what we see in the Caribbean. This was the type of things that you saw them doing in the Caribbean. And guess what? The enslaved were peering through the windows. What is they doing in there? And they begin to mock the people. And so they mocked the people of what they saw and turned it into their own festival. Okay? So we know that masquerading, it has some spiritual significance. It allows you to be whoever you want to be. It allows you to, it defies socioeconomic class. You can be whoever we want to be. How do we know this? Because here we have Kemet, some of the earliest masks. These are the masks, we call them some of the masks of death. But here we are with masks, so we know that something is special about them. And guess what? Someone keeps trying to take these and put them in their museum. So why are they trying to put? Because there's something valuable here. But guess what? Just because you've done something, if you don't have it here, it's not the same. You have to have it here to make it come alive. Okay. So here we have the Yoruba culture. And you're going to see something very similar later on. But actually, look at this. This looks like this could be, what is this? Symposium. Or, we'll continue on, we'll come back to that. The festival of Egungun. Egungun is masquerade in Yoruba culture. Many people from the Caribbean and America have Nigerian ancestry, Nigerian or Benin ancestry. So it would only make sense that you would take many of these practices into the New World. You cross these waters, why do you think that you would just abandon what it is that you had before you came? Particularly when it was working for you. And now you're in this environment, you don't know where you are, everything is different. You don't think you're going to use your same spiritual practices to protect you that you did before you were taken across the Atlantic. Egungun, again, Nigeria, Yoruba culture of Nigeria and Benin. To southern Senegal, which is called a Pamparan. So you see this amongst the Mandinka people, and you sometimes see it amongst the Jolokin because they live close together. But again, you see where we got these traditions of masquerading, and even you see the cutlass is Disney thing from way back when. Cote d'Ivoire, this is the dance called Zaoli. Again, masquerading, nothing new here. Just crossed the water and took the things with you, right? So Clan Mass is not exclusive to the Caribbean island, we know that, but it's a representation of a diverse group of people that were kidnapped for the purpose of free labor and taken across the Atlantic, right? And so you see the culture of those people along with the people that were complicit in that kidnapping. So you see that kind of culture clash coming together. In the early days in the Caribbean, enslaved did not miss an opportunity to mimic the enslaver and other elite members of society through masquerading. For the members of the elite, masquerading allowed one to not only mimic the enslaved, but to act on desires without restraint, free of judgment. Masking to allow everyone to be something that they were not. From covering oneself in mud, oil, or tar to dressing in elaborate gowns, these portrayals will find their way into carnival celebrations, becoming the characters of old and traditional masks. It was important to note that while the elite were reveling, drinking alcohol, and engaging in bacchanal, the enslaved and later formerly enslaved were seemingly carrying out something that had much more significance. The celebrations of the formerly enslaved were more about freedom, protest, and ritual. The spiritual practices that the enslaved carried with them could be observed during this time. The dichotomy between the two is one that makes carnival in areas with a formerly enslaved population quite unique. It's a clash of culture, so to speak. There we go. Not all traditional mask characters are old masks, but all old masks are traditional. Two different things. Okay? Old masks drew directly from the enslaved and newly emancipated populations of the Caribbean. Old masks has a strong spiritual significance as it contains elements of the traditional African spiritual practices of those who were enslaved. Mud, tar, oil, molasses, instruments, chains, tattered clothing, and political satire are all key to old masks. Old masks is seen in the early hours of what is known as Juve. Juve from the French word Juve. Daybreak. All right, so here we have this practice of painting our bodies black, which is really interesting because you were taught that black was the devil, black was evil, black was inferior, but yet you have people painting themselves black to accentuate the rich ebony skin. So how it is that these people were taught that it was inferior and it was devil-like, but you actually take it upon yourself to make yourself even more dark. How about that? So blue has a whole different story, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay. This is typically what you see in old masks. You see political satire. You see people taking an opportunity to voice grievances about whatever the current situation is, politics, the economy, whatever the current situation is. This is actually one of my favorite parts because people get really creative with some of these things. Okay? So now that we understand math, let's test your knowledge. You're going to tell me what these characters are. Let's go. Anybody? What are we seeing here? Moko Jumpy. Or we have somebody from Dominica. Or even Martinique, Guadeloupe, the Francophone. Wawa. So again, not everybody's calling this Moko Jumpy. So Wawa in Dominica. The Moko Jumpy or Wawa, as it's called in Dominica, originated in Africa. It's seen among various ethnic groups throughout the continent, from Senegal to Congo. Moko Jumpies play an integral part in traditional African spiritual systems. It is believed that they are able to sense and spot danger first because of their height. Moko Jumpies are thought to have certain powers, thus they are able to protect his people spiritually as well as physically. With that, there is no surprise that the enslaved brought this tradition and belief with them. Jamaica, what is this?
Pichi Pachi. Pichi Pachi.
Pichi Pachi?
That's what I see.
Okay. Is that a term in Jamaica?
It's from we have a different masquerade
Okay.
at Christmas time. Can't remember the name.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, but this is something you see in Jamaica too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You see that? So this is why when we talk about how we're all connected.
So as you're doing it,
Okay.
so you call it,
Pichi Pachi.
Pichi Pachi. I love it. Can we learn
and then
something?
in Grenada it's called.
You do. Wait till you see. Wait till you see what the two that's connected. Yeah. What is this in Trinidad? What is this in Trinidad?
They don't do it as much anymore. I'm gonna find the name.
No, who cares? Okay. All right. So we have this here. I'm vexed nobody has a name for this.
We next to, I'm next to.
All right. What do we have here? Shortly. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because I can see it over in the other corner. That's why I'm like, how?
Okay.
The Christmas mask, it's called Junkanoo.
Junkanoo, right.
Yeah.
So Jamaica had Junkanoo too. There were multiple islands that had Junkanoo, not just Bahamas. There was multiple islands. Now you don't see it as much. So Junkanoo is very interesting because Junkanoo is actually coming from an African tradition too. Whereas Carnival is a mix. Junkanoo, Kanduma, and Cropover they're coming from African festivals.
So while we're right there, what I would like to do.
We got to finish the part of this one because this is the part that goes with it. I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Okay. So what did we say this was? Nice and loud for me. Shortness, right. Okay. Now, what do the three of these have in common? Hey! Well, what is the three of why are we talking? Why is this thing in the middle here? Yes! Come on, hey, yes. They're all Pierre Bernard. So initially, short knee was called Pierre Bernard. But when the British took over, it became short knee because you no longer use French Creole. So even though they are not identical, all of these are, as she said, Pierre Bernard. Okay? So the Pierre Bernard is a colorfully dressed, mischievous trickster. The Piero has its origins in Italian art comedy that became popular in France. That's how it actually got to the Caribbean. It is the French who brought a variation of this character into the Caribbean. Piero Bernard shares some similarities with the Piero in Europe. However, it carries elements of the traditional West African costuming and spiritual practices, particularly that of the Yoruba people. In Trinidad, Piero Bernard is portrayed as a self-proclaimed scholar with remarkable oratory skills and a rather unique ability to spell certain words. As the name suggests, it would appear that this character was brought into Trinidad by Grenadians, where it evolved. What is it? Yeah, we brought it too. That's why it's Bernard. Clown of Grenada. Where it evolved into one that is unique to Trinidad. Piero Bernard is generally associated with satire in a way where it is used to air grievances regarding political and social issues that affect society. So how many knew that how many knew that it was initially a Piero Bernard too? Short knee was. Yep. That's why you see the shredded, tattered coat. All right. Now we're here. Shortly. Shortly, the Piero Bernard became known as Shortly in Grenada as the language changed from French Creole to English. Shortly masqueraders are usually found in groups. They will ask onlookers for money using nonverbal gestures, much like the original pantomime that influenced the name. The Piero was a sharply dressed and sad, lovesick clown in David's book. So put Shortly's West African influence. You may see groups of Shortly chanting and call and respond by the enslaved Africans brought into Grenada, as it is a style that's used throughout Africa. The style of chanting and clothing are not the only elements of West Africa associated with shortening. Additionally, the use of white powder by shortening groups can be directly traced to West Africa, where it is used in traditional and spiritual ceremonies. Additionally, the use of bells around the ankles can be observed throughout Africa. Now, if you've had an opportunity to go to Africa and you've seen one of those ceremonies, you see things around the ankles, you see bells, you see all kinds of cowrie shells, things around it and around. Anybody watch Nollywood movies, the Nigerian movies that are so hilarious? You ever see them take the white powder and they blow it on somebody? Because powder had a spiritual significance too. We cover our bodies in them, we use them in our spiritual ceremonies. So here we are, we powder in the audience, we powder in carnival goers, but we don't understand why we powder. Boy, powder. Okay? We ain't new to this. This is centuries old that we're doing. All right, go ahead. Go back.
So since we are talking about shortening, I have invited someone who plays shortening. So let me tell you a bit about the structure of this symposium. Not only is it going to be a conversation and a talk back, but we have a presentation that's rooted in research and academics. But I also wanted to bring a different element by bringing real life experience of people who actually play and live these characters in these celebrations, and it's a part of their lifestyle. So we just talked about shortening, and right now I'd like to introduce to you my good friend, who's also a part of my team of Afro-Caribbean Festival, who I did not know played shortening until I went to Grenada this year. So small world, we live in proximity to each other, we're on the same team, and it took me going to Grenada to find out that she played shortening, and for me to learn about shortening. So we're gonna have Amanda come, she's just gonna display, and then later on she's gonna talk about her real life experiences playing shortening. So not only do you see it on the screen, you get to see it in real life.
Yay! I would have came out jumping, I promise. I gotta stretch first. We like your pump to jumping. I gotta stretch.
The powder. All right, let's push forward. All right, who wants to guess here? Oh, the heavy T bumper girl. You know what? This one, we like this one here. You see that? You see that? She's showing you in real life where this came from. Go ahead, take another spin. Take the next one. Yeah, the heavy T bumper. No, man. All right, so she had it. What did you see? So you know what? She's gonna be a part of this program because she know in her head, but she don't know the names of these things. So we got her. But okay. Come on, Mom. Don Lauren. Yes.
In Barbados.
Don Lauren.
I joined in the back because I'm not going to
Go stay here. Don Lauren mocks the French aristocratic women attending elaborate balls. The enslaved would peer in the windows and mimic the women that they saw with fans, hats, and lavish ball gowns. The enslaved would portray these women with exaggerated features. Don Lauren, some people say Dan Lauren, but Don Lauren, or originally consisted of a group of women with each given a French Creole name that referred to their specific exaggerated feature. Where's my Haitian? Who speaks Creole? My Creoles? Okay. All right, come on. I need a Haitian to come up here because you're going to pronounce these names correctly. We're going to make sure we speak these in Creole. All right, come on. Bring the picnics. Bring the jomo. Come on. Sakafe. Come on. She was giving her. Come on now. There ain't no Babacool there. All right. So they exaggerated these features, and they gave them names according to their features. So can you read those in Creole for me, please? What
Bunda, Magotete.
What does that mean?
Bunda is booty.
Exactly. So you say the woman with the big booty.
Magotete,
What's that?
titties,
Uh-huh.
breast, I'm sorry. Messi go coco. Y'all know what that means. Messi go lolo were the names given.
So, yeah. But so, yeah, so that's, we gave those exaggerated names. Now, here we come to, who knows what this is? Okay. So, all right, so 2 points. 2 points for who knows what's in that first image. What that's called. No. Look carefully. Come on. Come on. What is this? What's in the first image? Okay, it's not a number. No. You don't know what that is. Look at the first picture. Okay. So this is a Mother Sally. Mother Sally is a part of a top band who sang rock'n'roll music in Barbados. Okay? So there are 4 characters that make up a top band. One of the characters is Mother Sally. So while Mother Sally may look like a Dame Lorraine, her origins are in West Africa. She likely derives from the Gelede masquerade of the Yoruba people of Nigeria and Benin, as well as the Ga of Ghana, Togo, and Benin. Mother Sally celebrates fertility and femininity. She is often seen with the tuck band in Barbados. Now, how is it associated with all those people? Because the Ga people of Ghana, Togo, and Benin are actually part of the Yoruba people. So you had a lot of separation. You had people, so like a Fulani is actually related to a Tukwara. So you have all these people that are actually part of these same ethnic groups, but as they moved into other areas, they became known as something else. All right. Anybody know what this character is?
Oh, now it's right.
No, 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 no. I'm looking right. I'm looking at Twin Island next to you. What's she holding in her hand?
A baby. 2 babies?
Anybody? Any other Trinidadians in here? Okay. You see, she's holding a baby. You can't recall what character this is. Okay. And this is why we're doing this, because we know we see these, but we don't know why. And it's very important as the older generation goes, it's not being passed down. So if you have your grandmother still here, you have your grandfather still here, please talk to them. Don't think they're just talking, yama yama. Talk to them. Because this is very important, because we're losing mass. That's why I asked the question, does it have a future? Does traditional and old mass still have a future in Carnival? Because this bikini and bead thing and this jumping line, this is relatively new. The bikini thing is borrowed from Brazil, which comes from the burlesque. So this is not even something, yes, it's a sign of resistance and liberation, women's lib in particular. But if we think that that's all this is, you know how many people fly down here to Miami only to put on a bikini and jump and never know that you have panorama tomorrow? Never know that you can see many of these characters right here. Because we wait for, okay, what festival is we going to? And okay, Juve is Saturday. You know, last year the ambulance had to pick up 55 people for intoxication from Juve. 55. It's so much more than this. It's so much more. So this character, we're gonna pause for a minute. This character is called Baby Doll. And Baby Doll has a serious, layered, complex history. Baby Doll is a layered character with a complex history. She represents the many ways that children become fatherless. While she is dressed as a baby herself, she also carries a baby doll. And it is common to see her looking for the child's father and soliciting male onlookers for financial support for this child. So we're going to get deep here for a second. So when we look at the baby doll character, we're talking about a number of things. During the enslavement period, those that owned the enslaved, because if you could really own people, did what they wanted to do with these women. And children came about. And so these women had children, and at some point, the overseer could have taken her, his nephew could have taken her, the next one that was coming to visit to take her. So she doesn't really know who that child's father is. So you see some of these things play out on the road, and we think it's fun and comical, but it's not. Further, and even to go even further, not only was the slave master, but you had very large breeding grounds. Jamaica had a large breeding ground. That's how the whole horse thing came to be. The plantation, like horse racing, is very big in Jamaica. And even like you see, there are songs about, you know, like wanting like a stallion, and because there's a very large horse racing culture there that was replaced the plantations. And so what was happening at these breeding grounds, these breeding plantations, is you had an enslaved person that was very strong. He was intelligent, he was skillful. And you had this woman who was very fertile, and she was very skillful. What do you think they did with those two people? They made them, just like horses. And so again, she might not even know that man. He might not even know them, which is also how you get this culture of hypermasculinity. And I don't want to say it, but we all know it. We have sometimes in Caribbean culture, we have detachment from the women. Oh, I don't want to be romantic and all these things. It's a detachment in some, not all. But all of this is the predecessor to that. Because if you create these situations, and the Caribbean was not heavily populated initially. Jamaica had a very small population, so did Trinidad. So you have to find some kind of way, and the infant mortality rate was very high, and people just were not producing. So you had to give them an incentive to make babies. So you become very detached because you're make babies. I get bonus from making babies. Okay? So this is when you see this character, it's really a complex, weird character. But again, most of us don't know the history of that. All right, Dominica in the house. Does anybody know what this is? No.
There will be a quiz at the end.
There will be a quiz at the end. This one? Anybody know this one? No.
So this one is different from the other one?
No, they're all part of the same. Okay, I just wanted to see if anybody recognizes this. Okay, so this is called a sensei. Sensei is a word derived from the Tree language of Ghana, meaning ruffled. Hence you see that kind of material, ruffled material. It is used to refer to a particular type of fowl that is unique to that region. While the word was borrowed from the language of people of Ghana, this tradition is seen in other countries in Africa, extending from Senegal on down to Mozambique. This tradition can be observed. Sensei representations are seen as protectors with power to ward off evil spirits. Knowing the power and significance of such, this should come as no surprise that this practice was transported across the Atlantic when those who were held in bondage were in unknown territory. So of course you would think that these types of practices would go along. Anybody know this character? This one you very rarely see because it grew into something else. JabJab, basically a garden or a field negro. And this character you don't see this on a lot, it evolved into something else. So this character is not even something that came from the enslaved. This character came from the French, the aristocrats. During the balls, they often actually play this character. They mock this character because this was a representation of what they saw the enslaved as. Okay? But this character grew into something else. And so now you might sometimes see this character during the stick fights. You might see it sometimes, the calendar beforehand. And now, once the emancipation came, these formerly enslaved people took this character as their own, and they now began to mock the overseer. So this became them mocking the overseer with chains and whips. Particularly, you see it on Camboulet. Anybody know what Camboulet is? Camboulet burning up the cane. Okay. All right, let's move forward. All right, so we're just going to go through a couple of these. Does anybody know what this mask is called? Yes, yes, Indian mask. There you go. Now you with me. Now you with me. All right. She whispered, no, I need you to speak louder. So yes, so you have a series, you have Indian masks coming from the indigenous people. So you have wild Indian. So you typically are going to see three. You see red Indian, black Indian, blue Indian. The black Indian is actually really interesting because the black Indian came into the Caribbean from African Americans. And that's why, if you notice, nobody else's face, but look, their face is painted black. You typically only see black Indians painted black. What's this mask called? Ah, now you with it. All right, yes, this is sailor mask. The sailor mask, and this comes from the Europeans, the French, the British, being docked in the Caribbean during World War II. So, anybody know what this one? This one is actually posted outside. Is actually in the window, and I was surprised to see that because nobody even really realized that this was a part of Carnival, but it's out there. So, anybody know what this is? No, not yet. So when you leave, make sure you take a look in the window because this one is out there. Okay, this is minstrel. Minstrel. Coming from the minstrels in America. Everybody knows what minstrel shows were, right? Now we're here. Now we're here. Midnight Robber, the ultimate speech master. This costume may have been inspired by American Western films, but the oratory skills are that of the African griot, known to give eloquent yet poetic speeches. Robber talk is what it's known as. Maybe seen brandishing weapons as he demands onlookers to pay up. Here we go. We get in there finally. Jab, devil mask. From the French word devil. Who knows that song? Who knows that song? Who sings this song? Be the devil. Be the devil. All right. So devil mask is seen throughout the Caribbean in one form or another. It is often feared and misunderstood, mistaken for devil worship or something more sinister. There are numerous characters that fall into the category of devil mask. JabJab, Bookman, Jabmalasi, dragons, bats, imps, and other beastly portrayals all fall into this. See that? Has anybody seen bats on the road? Again, why are we here? Said it's amazing. It is. It's so vibrant. All right. So this is an interesting character. Anybody know what this character is? Bookman, right? The representation of Satan. Bookman is seen with either a red or white mask with double horns. Bookman carries a large book that he uses to jot down names of prospective souls. So what happens when you see a bookman in drag? Nobody don't want to see the bookman. Your name is going in the book. All right. Now, what I find interesting is that we say that Jab is the devil, yet this is the only character who doesn't have a black face. The only character that we see. And it would make sense that if you are in bondage, that you would see those captives as the devil. Right? Jabmalasi. So this one is actually interesting because it's a bit controversial. So the Molasses devil, is believed by some to be the ghostly spirit of an enslaved free laborer who fell in the boiling molasses. Those that play Jabmalasi are typically covered from head to toe in oil, molasses, paint, or tar, and wearing devil horns. No, that's going to go right into it.
Why is it controversial?
Because we don't necessarily know if that is what a Jabmalasi is. That we paying homage to one person, I think it's something more symbolic than that. I think it's more symbolic than one person. I actually think what's happening is actual ritual. It's resistance. It's paying homage to those who did not make it. It's protest, resistance. It's so much more than what we see. So, Blue Devils. You familiar with Blue Devils, right? Anybody familiar with Blue Devils? Do you see the blue? Okay. The Blue Devils are just a variation of Jab molasses, originally found in the mountains of Paramin. Because Paramin did not have sugarcane fields, molasses could not be used. So instead, they used the blue washing powder. What's the blue washing powder called? Yeah. It have a number of names, but this, yep. But this became what they used because if you didn't have molasses, you figured out the next thing. Because guess what? People of African descent are always resourceful, and you're gonna find a way, one way or another. Mass must play. All right. Now, this is something else that people don't know. To the left is, come on, Greens. Yeah. To the right. Come on, this one, what do you know this is when you see doing stick fighting? When you see calendar. So, JabJab in Trinidad, this is JabJab. That is not JabJab in Trinidad. That is JabJab in Grenada. What we have here? Yes. So one is a part of stick fighting. So when you stick fighting, you're jabbing the person. Anyway, jab. The other one is related to Jab or Devil Man.
I was gonna say that the jab, because it's a jab list, so it's like jab. That's where the jab comes from for this.
Yeah. So it has a different function. So did you know that this was JabJab too? Yeah. You knew the one on this side that was closest to us was also. Okay. Yeah. So that's a JabJab. That's when you see doing calendar stick fighting. All right. What we have here? Short knee. And okay. So if you actually, we're gonna have a display, but when you get home, I want you to Google short. When you actually see these, this is some powerful stuff here. Like I feel this here. Come on, Green. Hey, there we go. All right. And so here we are in Guinea-Bissau. So I want to show you that this is not exclusive to the Caribbean. This is what's on his head. Cow horn. Not exclusive. This looks like something you would see on Juve. Easy. Chains. That's Guinea-Bissau. This looks like Juve. Côte d'Ivoire. No horn again. Plain mask. Got it? All right. Who knows what this one is? Huh? Martinique, Guadeloupe, French Island. Again, you see that painting the body, form of resistance. So when we talk about jab, when we talk about playing mass, there's something deeper happening. Yes, carnival was happening in some places, but there's a bit of syncretism that's happening. This is more of a spiritual thing happening while these people are celebrating carnival, carne, ballet, for the way to meet. We know something else is happening. It's a resistance. People are calling on their ancestors. They are paying homage to their ancestors. They're calling on those spirits that they knew to protect them. The biggest thing about this is, again, like I said, it's a form of resistance and protest. You're taught that your skin is not beautiful. you're taught that black is the devil, but you use the product that's making these people money, and you smear it all over your body. What a way to slap somebody in the face. That's what you make your money off of, and we're going to smear on our body, and we're going to actually accentuate what you told us was demonic and inferior. We're using conch shells. Conch shells are used all throughout Africa. It's used to communicate. So when you hear those conch shells coming, you hear them sounding off. You had it's the runaways, the Maroons, using conch shells to signal each other. And when during Congolese, you had the overseer using the conch shell to signal them to get up and to come put out the fire. The conch shell is used in almost every spiritual system in part in West Africa. Somehow or another, the conch or the cowrie shell. So who take me shell? This is not just
JabJab, take
about a
shell.
shell. This is so much deeper. So when you hear someone ask you, when you hear someone, no wait.
Yeah, someone. All right.
So when someone asks you why it is you are playing mass, you tell them it's in. When someone asks you this one, why are you playing mass? Why are you out there? It's devil worship. Oh, good. Stop letting people tell you what your culture is about.
You're not a good Christian.
Because the very people that need you to comply, they need you to be powerless. So one of the first things that happened was they stripped you of your spiritual systems. The Caribbean was the seasoning point before you even got into America. So you have to strip people of their power. So you have to tell them that everything that they were doing prior to that, was negative, was inferior, it was barbaric, it was antiquated. Okay? So as I said, when someone asks you why you're playing mass, you tell them it's in your DNA.
That was the cue.
I said the next time somebody asks you, okay. So again, like I said, in order to render you powerless, they have to take your spiritual system away from you. Because your spiritual system is what you use to protect you and to fight. So I take this from you and I give you something back, but I tell you your own is demonic, your own is antiquated, your own is rubbish. But I give you something else. So now when we see things, we don't recognize it, and we also think that what we come from is inferior. It ain't inferior. It's in your DNA. Everybody has a spiritual system, and we had our own. And what we see out here, particularly in Julia, it speaks to that. It speaks to our power. It speaks to our resistance. Don't ever let anybody tell you that what you come from is low class, antiquated, inferior, primitive. As I said, it's in the DNA. From Africa to the Caribbean to the South America, Central America, it's in the DNA.
It's This mic does not like me because it wants me to just. So I know we promised that. I know when you first saw the flyer, it said authentic jab, and we talked about the different jabs. So we're going to have our official jab come through, and then we're going to continue because they told you were the devil. We said, okay, we the devil, we're going to play the devil. So introducing to you straight Grenada, Bombo de Jab.
Everybody. Capital. I I say capital. Capital! I was spell Simon. I want to say I want to spell Simon. I'm going to spell Simon. I see the moon. I see moon. Today's the day for the JabJab. Today's the day for the JabJab. Today's the day for the JabJab.
Amanda says she's coming to do her entrance over. So again, we not only wanted to bring you the definite history and the research and the academia of it, but I also wanted this to be different than what you may see on different other panels. The bleeding is killing me, yes. We wanted it to be a little different. We wanted you to see someone and speak with someone who does this in real life. Like it's fun to see it on Instagram, and I think a lot of times one of the other things that inspired me to do this was that we're really commercializing in the wrong way Carnival. We're promoting fun, but we're not promoting culture. And believe me, I as a gal that don't like wearing clothes, so I as the first one, long time ago when costumes was covered up, I was like, why? I walking around in a thong, so. But even I clutch my pearls at the costumes of today. And that says a lot. If I am shocked and appalled, it is really racy. So I'm just watching social media, people complaining about, oh, this is being taken over by this and this is, and I'm the type of person, I don't believe in no long talk. I don't want to talk unless we're talking to make sense. So no more complaining on social media. This whole place should be packed out. Y'all ain't got that much to do, ain't that? Well, I'm sure it might be a fete this time of day. But what you fetting for? 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 only on Thursday. And Carnival ain't even reached that. But we have to start somewhere. So it is my mission and my vision, along with the people in my team and connected to me, to not just complain about the Americans taking over or this one taking over, and even about the influencers, because I think right now there's a big thing about influencers. Like, they are really paying influencers to come and get people to come to Carnival, but they're not paying the local people. They're not paying the artists. Artists are becoming promoters because promoters won't book them because they're booking. Yes, I said it. They don't book artists because they book in influencers. And the influencers know nothing about the culture. So before you go jump up and do something, know what you're doing. Because like we said, it is some spiritual context to it. And you play around with spirit to knock you down. You're doing something and you don't even know ritual is. One of my favorite songs that came out of Grenada this year, and I love to seeing the men sing it. Real bad mind drink rum out the calabash. I said, geez. I get chills just singing it because I said it's such a ritualistic spiritual thing, and I don't even think they realize that this is a ritual, that this is something spiritual that they're doing. And to watch the men walk around drinking rum out of the calabash, I say, geez, ancestors, boy, they don't know what you're stirring up, what you're stirring up. So it's from several aspects, and me going to Grenada for the first time, I felt that spiritual connection to, I feel like, and I've been to carnivals all over the place, and I felt the most connected to the ancestral spirits of what carnival is there. And I think it hasn't been commercialized as much as other ones. And I'm making it my mission, and I'm gonna spread the mission that we educate so that, yes, you can play your pretty mask and be in your little skimpy, dental floss bathing suit, that's fine. But please know why we did it. Please know that it's not about, I think one of the most heart-wrenching things I ever heard commentary was Maya, when she came to Trinidad Carnival. She said, oh, I'm an official Trinidadian, an honorary Trinidadian, because I can go to Trinidad and be half naked and no one bothers me. And that was the wrong message to sin, that this is where we go to be half naked and not get bothered. But in actuality, there is a lot of negative things that happen during carnival. There is rape, there is robbery, there is crime. And we're not telling the whole truth because we're not starting from the foundation. So I'm not gonna take over with that. That's my God. I'm gonna let, like I said, we have real life experience. I'm gonna let Amanda talk about shortening, how it's influenced her life, how she grew up or came to do this, because I don't know if you grew up doing it. But she is Grenadian. Like I said, I had to come all the way to Grenada to find out that she plays shortening. And the girl on the team, but that's okay. So, Amanda, talk to the people.
I'll tell you best as I can. I don't even have my notes in my phone right now. But I actually played for the first time in New York. My boyfriend actually, he plays in Grenada every year. He started recently. He also did JabJab before. And then he played shortly for the first time, and it was literally life-changing. Like, he was hooked. And when you talk about the spirit, like, oh my gosh, when I tell you this guy was waking up, listening to Shorty chant. He was sleeping before going to bed. He's listening to Shorty chant. He in the shower and he, chanting. And I'm just like, wow, it took over. It took over. And it did something for the both of us that was like bringing us back to home, bringing us back to culture, the root of it all. The history and the origin. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. So Shorty is actually, this is what it's called in Grenada. So you will see other characters that look just like it or similar, some differences and similarities in other islands and other parts of the world, and you'll have a different name. So this, particularly the Grenadian Shorty, it originates in, I want to say Nigeria, don't quote me, and it actually comes from clown is the name, so the origin of the word. Yes, it came from clown. Oh, did you say that? Oh my gosh, I missed it. I was in the backyard. I couldn't hear. And so what did you not say? Well.
So but at least we know now it's consistent.
Yes, exactly. Yes, confirming. Yes, that's true. And so we have these, I don't know if we got to talk about the costume at all, but we have the pants and the top, but we also have the collar here, and on the collar you'll see mirrors. So the mirrors are put on the mirrors are put on the collar to keep away bad spirits and negativity. Put this down, sorry. And you'll see it's on the back and the front, so anywhere you go, some bad mind is coming near you, you are literally repelling them with your mirrors. So they see themselves in these mirrors and they're like, oh, oh, that's me. So that's part of it. And then you have the towel here, which is also a diaper. So if you grew up in the Caribbean and you maybe a while ago, I'm not gonna age nobody, these towels or rags or cloth material was used as diapers, pampers before, those came in, and also for menstrual products as well. So this is worn on the head, and I think that is a good display of what you said earlier, like using whatever you have, what's there, to make something that means something else. So I think that's very significant, and that's awesome to see it, Yeah, yeah. Purification. I love that. Yes, indeed. And then the mask, which you would normally wear on front to cover your identity. Basically, all of this on your head that's covered, and there's normally stockings, which I did not remember to bring today. Those are all to cover the identity of the shorty. So you wouldn't know if it's a man or a woman. You may know if it's a child because you'll see this little person, right? But and children also do play shorty. So there's shorty bands with people from this small up to high and old, all ages. It's amazing to watch them at work. And so you wouldn't know who you're seeing, and you're not supposed to know who the shorty is. You're not supposed to be able to guess. You just see a group of them coming down, and historically they have stopped at houses. They ask for money too, just like a lot of the other characters mentioned today. And so to get the shorty away and to not get the powder on you, I did not know that. to get the powder away. And also the clowns, you know how some people are scared of clowns? Like, that would be another part of kind of like getting people to give you the money so you could just go away. So like my mom told me a story about seeing the shorty in the Trinidad or Grenada. In Grenada, and they were coming, you know, they're coming down, they making noise, you hear the chants, you hear the bells, and so there's no music. Everybody's wearing the bells on their feet, that's another part of the costume, and that's all you hear. And that is indication that you don't know where they are. They might be near, they might be far, but you know they're coming. So you might get ready, close the door, whatever you gotta do. But my mom would say, oh, she sees that and she's scared because you don't know what it is. You don't know who it is. You don't know what they're there for. But they are there to take your money and leave and keep it pushing. Which I'm here for. I mean, look, listen, resistance, okay? Let's take money from the right people, y'all. Anything else? Oh, Lord, okay. So I'll give you one that my boyfriend says constantly, because we didn't do this one when I played in New York, but you might hear this one in Grenada. So I'm gonna start from here and I'm gonna come down for you guys. I'm gonna try without the mic, and if I need it, I'll bring it. I'm keeping it on. Today is the day body shot me. Today is the day body shot me. Today is the day body shot me. Today is the day. Yeah. Today is the day body shot me. So that's just an example, and a lot of the, like I told you, I had to stretch, so it's not my best. And then this is falling off. But a lot of the chants will be about political issues, historical issues. So what's going on today in the country, whether it's Grenada, whether it's in New York. They might talk about politics, what's happening with any political issues with other countries. So there was actually one about, there's also some stuff about the JabJab, so they might comment, you know, I mean, it's all love, right? At the end of the day, it's all love, but you might comment a little, you know, shortly over JabJab kind of thing for fun, though, for fun, just teasing. So we do have one like that from Labor Day, but you know, my brain right now, I have like I said, my notes is in my phone. But that's just some examples of the chants and what they would sound like, and just imagine like a huge group of people coming out, and all you're hearing is, you know, bells and chanting, and you're listening on. You might hear something about Trump if you're in New York. You might hear something about Biden. If you're in Grenada, you might hear something about the previous one, Bishop. You might hear something about Maurice Bishop. If you might hear something about Trinidad, even there was a very famous person. There you go, that's one. There was a very famous story about a person who, I wish I remembered it. That chant was really nice. But if you get a chance, look up the videos. You'll see, you'll hear, and you will just be blown away. So that's my story.
Let's give it up for Amanda. And see, I know that's a little, and you'll be able to ask questions and things after our final speaker. But I did, like I said, I wanted more of a presentation of someone who actually does it. You know, we can pontificate with the best of them because we're all learning. But it's a difference when you get to experience it and you make it a part of your practice. So without further ado, I'm gonna pass the mic. Bobo the Jab, who's gonna talk about Jab life.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, so where I really come from is Grenada, very small island. I was my sister on the panel and just enlighten you guys about the Jab, right? Yes. And so, I started playing Jab at the age of 12. I'm 42 years today. Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I was inspired by my brother. You know, I don't know, Miss, ask your question. Do you know like the Masgra? Back home, like when the Masgra done, you get yourself ready to run to the Juve. That's right. My brother used to take me and leave me there. So I was crying and wondering what to where to go. So I had a year, I decided what I'm going to leave them. I left them and I went straight into the town and I started playing JabJab. When I reached there, there was men in tar. If you see these guys, you running. That snake, the tongue red, the eye red. It's like, you know, as you said, they look like the devil. But we are not the devil. We just portray the devil. As the Frenchmen call us JabJab, which is a term for devil. But we are not the devil. So get it in your head. We're just masqueraders, right? Who fought for slavery back in the, let me say, slavery was abolished in the Caribbean, like we say 1934 to 1938. That's when all the Caribbean countries was abolished by slavery. Now, in my country where I come from, they call us the JabJab, right? So that's when slavery abolished. That is when we disguise ourselves in molasses, and we decided we're going to take out all the slave masters who abuse us, who rape us, and rob us. So we decided to dress ourselves in molasses. Well, I don't have molasses here today, but if you come on the street, Juve morning in Miami, you will see me. Woo. And then the cohorn, as you can see, we take it from the bull head. We stick it onto the posy. Now, the posy now is a potty. I guess you know what the potty is, right? You know what you stool and you know, right? So we take it, these guys in, see, this is it right here. You can see, touch it. That's the posy, that's our helmet. Now this here is a pig jaw. We use this as our weapon. This is our weapon. I don't have the chain to show you guys from where I break away from slavery. I don't have it here to show you guys. But what I know, JabJab is a pre-emancipation mass. Right? Now, for me, I love playing jab. And I would die at JabJab. For God forgive me for saying that. I would die playing JabJab because I love JabJab. I play jab in Grenada, I play jab in Caribou, and now I get an exposure to play jab in New York. Woo. I also have a JabJab band called Authentic JabJab. I registered it this year, so if you guys are interested, you guys can link up Empress J. You know, if you want to play with jab with us, Juve morning, Miami, if you guys come to Grenada, you can link up Empress J, fit into the jab. You guys, you can play jab in Grenada. You played before. You play with a snake? No. Now you don't know what, no, you don't play jab. No, you don't play jab. For you to play jab, you have to play with the snake, the chain, and the oil. And the crapple. There's crapple to the jab. But you got to play with the snake. The snake represents something. Okay? All right, so the snakes now. We let go of the snake to get the slave masters covered because they know they're afraid. So when we let go of the snakes, they run outside, we capture them, we kill them. Oh. Get rid of them. Yeah, it's not a dead snake, it's a live snake. We don't play with dead snake. We play with a live snake. Everything in Grenada, we play with live. Nothing dead. That's why you see when you come to Grenada, you're going to play authentic jab. Not just JabJab. Not just jab, authentic. Get the word? Authentic. That's right. Yeah. So as my good friend said, as you look at this, say, this is my friends, huh? It's part of me. They all are JabJab. That's a St. Martin JabJab, if you don't know. As I said, everybody have a whole history down to the Caribbean, but we in Grenada, we are the jab. These play jab with a different type of jab. If you know that. They're Blue Devil from Trinidad. I don't know, but to me, I just find like they copy us. Forgive me for saying that. Because JabJab is originally from Grenada. Well, the old oil. Yeah, well, that's the original jab. That's authentic. But you see, as the days go along and the Ministry of Health has stepped in, we have to be cautious with ourselves. So we end up using the pigment. So we mix it up with coconut oil. And you see, this is not the pigment, but it's something similar. So we mix it up with pigment, place it on our skin, and hit the road.
You also use charcoal.
Well, yes, but to me, I find the charcoal is too thick for me. It takes days to get off. Sometimes I have to throw sheets 3 times. You know that? You bathe, you go lie down, and when you look at it, it's still dirty. So when I use the oil, it's very easy. You put like light on your skin. You put the oil. It's diesel oil. Eh? Please get it right. Diesel oil, not gasoline. Diesel oil is a much better oil to use. It's more richer, more blacker. So we strain it with about 2 t-shirts. We strain the oil into a bucket, and then we paste our skin and take it to the streets. Now, when I am on the streets, it's like, I could tell you, like, my ancestors is with me. I don't just play jab by myself. And I'm talking to you right now, my skin is just crawling because I know how the jab is. When you start talking about jab, your ancestors start coming to you. It's a historical stuff. Where I come from. Miss, do you ever play jab?
No.
Why?
I saw it in Trinidad.
But you need to come to Grenada.
Well, I did go to Grenada.
But why you not playing the jab?
I wasn't there to like
So next time you come to Grenada, play the jab. Now the short knee here have a great part to play with me. Do you know I have to feed the short knee before she dead? That's a motto. You got to pay the short knee. Mommy, you have to know that. Right, so I'm not talking nonsense here. Right. Now, I am here to represent Grenada to the fullest. And I'm not going to stop playing jab. I'm not. Boss, I want you and me to play JabJab. Tuesday morning in Miami. Link up Empress. You're done there. Right. So I have one question to ask you guys. It be more. Have you ever seen the devil? Oh, okay. Nobody. Never see the devil. So why you guys call me the devil? Nobody can answer. So that means I'm not the devil. I'm just a masquerade. So I'm saying thank you very much for having me here today to express myself with the jab. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Bongo the Jab. So we had questions, like the panelists had questions. And Dr. Ate has some addition to this.
So, he said Trinidad stole it from Grenada. So let's talk about that for a second. I wasn't going to get into that because that's another presentation that I have. But as anybody is familiar, I'm going to take you back to primary school. Where are you from back there? Yeah? Trinidad, okay. So I'm going to take you back to primary school. Anybody ever heard of cellular population?
What population?
The cellular population. Primary school, cellular population. We don't know what that is. Okay. So the cellular population, okay, as I talked about earlier, the Caribbean did not have a huge population. Now, Trinidad in particular had a very small population. You had Amerindians first, but of course, they were dead. And the King of Spain created a cedula that allowed for French settlers, free colored people, and their enslaved to come into Trinidad and own land. Prior to the cedula population, Trinidad had a population of less than 3,000. That was 1783, I think. By 1797, it had a population of over 10,000, 18,000. 10,000 of it were the enslaved. Again, it was for French settlers, free people of color, and their enslaved French settlers to come into Trinidad. Okay, so that means they were from French islands. What islands were francophones? French islands at that time: Guadeloupe, Martinique, Dominica, Grenada. Okay, so what you're seeing on Juve could not have happened without the French islands, because there was not a population in Trinidad prior to that. And let me tell you, I love my red, black, and white. I love it true and true. But this idea that it started, Trinidad did not have a population. This was all a way to get Trinidad for it to become a plantation economy. So you have to bring these people in. Prior to that, the people were not there. So these people were coming from, Trinidad was never colonized by the French. It was never occupied, colonized by the French. So how did you get carnival? You got carnival from the French islands, Martinique, Guadeloupe, these French islands. Nearly every Calypsonian has some type of Grenadian roots. All of the major Calypsonians. So we can put this to rest. I would not ever fight over who, because as we just seen in our presentation, this was going on before we even got to the Caribbean. You're not going to fight over one island. What you're going to fight over where you stop. You're going to fight over a stop. Okay? So from the time we can start saying, okay, this is one. Like he said, this is his family, because this is a form of Jab too. But so is what we see in Burkina Faso, what we're seeing in Sao Tome, what we're seeing in Senegal, what we're seeing in Guinea-Bissau. All, we took this across the waters with it. So no need to say that somebody stole, because you couldn't have a Trinidadian population without first having French islands.
Trinidad to me knows like the main is the queen of is Trinidad run carnival right now. Without the so if there was no population there, like you see the French and how it became the number one island for carnival?
It was documented that Trinidad had a documented carnival prior to Grenada. So the documented of when you can prove that this actually occurred happened in Trinidad before Grenada. So this is why it becomes the greatest festival. But again, as I said, there's syncretism there, because what they were celebrating as a pre-Lenten ceremony is not, it doesn't even look like the same as what you see on Juve. It looks like it's literally two different celebrations. Juve is something different. Monday morning looks different than Tuesday. Sunday night looks different than Tuesday. Tuesday we get all pretty and all stush and thing, but before that, carnival is African. Before that, you have Kalinda, that's where you're bringing out the drums. You got Shego Baptist in here. Like this is real African prior to Tuesday. Tuesday come and we get real polished and things. But before that, it's Africa.
Actually, Bongo Jab had a good point. He mentioned steel pan, and so that's known, popularly and widely known, to come from Trinidad and be the what is it, the newest or right instrument of the 20th century. So, well, good job here. But where did that come from? I mean, he mentioned Grenada. I'm sure we have different views and we've heard different origin stories, but can we speak to that?
So the steel pan was actually created in the islands, from what we know was created in the island, the Twin Islands. But again, there was no population yet. So you always have to say, it goes back to whoever these enslaved and formerly enslaved people, they were coming from the French islands. So if it was nothing there, that's like saying, you see a group of brown find people and they say, oh, they're not African. We say, well, where do all humans come from? Africa. But you say this group of people are not African. Well, but all humans came from Africa. It doesn't make sense. You're telling they are not African, but all humans came from Africa. It's kind of the same thing. So the steel pan came out of, again, the drums were banged. So you created this, you had tambour bamboo, you had steel pan. All this was coming out of you bang the drums. If you bang the drums, we're gonna start banging on the floor. We're gonna bang on the chair. You know, if you had little boys, if you had sons, if you have sons, you know, as children, they will bang on anything. Sometimes it's enough for you. Hey, rest your hands, rest yourself now. We will find a way. And so the steel pan comes out of that. Now, to my knowledge, I have never seen any evidence that a steel pan was anywhere else. But again, you had to have these people populate Trinidad from somewhere. So we can't argue about, we have to stop the they stole it. Because if we're saying that you all came, and it wasn't just Grenada, it was Martinique, it was Guadeloupe, it was Dominica. So we can't just say, okay, this is, you know, they stole it from Grenadians. No, it's all, they had to get to that island.
But I think that speaks to the whole concept that we need to start coming together as one, because we came from and we cross-pollinated and we populated here, we populated there, and came from this way, that way. Granny from here and granddaddy from there, and those types of things. So when we say we're one Caribbean, we need to understand that is really true, just based off of that small piece of history of how Trinidad was populated. So it has always been in my research and study that the steel pan was originated in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is one of the youngest instruments. And it's starting to make its mark worldwide. You can see pan schools in Japan and Europe and all over the world now. And we were proud to, as African Caribbean Festival, the first to bring a panist to Africa, the first time playing in Sierra Leone. And that's something very specific to the Caribbean. It's a drum very specific to us. And yes, you will go on to other islands. When you step off the plane in Jamaica, somebody gonna be playing pan. When you step off the plane in Barbados, somebody gonna be playing pan. So it is our instrument. It may have started in Trinidad because we was banging on some oil drums because they took our drums, but it is still very much Caribbean.
I don't know if anybody else has a question, but I have another one. This one's actually from Jab this time. I know I called your name a couple times already. That's what the show they do. We call you out, okay? So I actually am wondering, you mentioned the snake, but I'm wondering about like the frogs and the, what was it? Octopus, squid, pighead too, right? Like all those kind of chickens, all kinds of animals. Do you know, can you speak to like what those are about at all?
Well, to tell you honest truth, as Empress JC is part of rituals, you know. It's all about animals. You just take an animal part and you could just play with it. It's neutral. You could take a mannequin, you could take a dog head, a goat head, a cow head. And once this animal is pertaining to the jab. So that's saying it's very historical, authentic. We don't fake nothing.
So, and I said ritual because if you know anything about some spiritual practices, there is animal sacrifice and things like that. So it's very much rooted into, even like we said, they took it from us. So a lot of things we don't know unless we've gone back and researched, unless we have, you know, family that still practice or have brought you back to our original practices, you wouldn't know that. So like when I said about the calabash and things like that, me being studying and knowing some other spiritual practices, I can recognize those things. And I can see, I was like, ritual. And I laugh all the time because when people, sometimes we've been so conditioned, they'll walk into a home that maybe Christian or not, or Muslim or practice something else, and they walk into your home and they see an altar, they're like, oh, you're devil worshiping, or you practice voodoo or something like that. And I said, so do you tell the Vietnamese people when you go get your nails done the same thing? Because you realize that Buddha, that incense, that fruit, all of that's an altar to their ancestors, the same thing you're supposed to be doing in your house. So, rituals.
And their business is prospering.
And prospering. You better put an altar up in your business. Do we have any other questions?
So, do you live in Grenada?
Yeah.
All right, so I go down there and I volunteer for Big Grenada Swimming. Are you familiar with that organization?
Oh, you been on Granada's Beach?
Yeah, with Miss Deb,
Oh, okay.
and right by the lifeguard stand.
Yeah, I think I saw you face in Grenada already.
Oh, okay. But I read now a newspaper at least once or twice a week. And they had a big article after I signed up for this about JabJab. And the one gentleman that wrote the article was complaining that it was starting at 6 a.m. instead of 4 a.m. And that was a big controversy. So what time does it start? And I have one more thing after that.
Well, normally jab services start at 3 in the morning, not 6. For you to see the job, you have to come at like 3 in the morning to see that distinctive in us, the blackness, the lights. You know, we also do a lot of stuff, you know. But 3 o'clock in the morning, that's when the job comes out. Not 6 o'clock, the sun is too hot.
Right.
Let the sun meet us on our back.
Can I ask one more question? Sure. You have to turn your mic off.
Oh, okay. So the other thing is, I'm really happy to be here because I've learned a lot. I've worked in the Caribbean for 11 years, but most of my life I've worked in sports. And when I was in Trinidad, I went to 3 carnivals in Trinidad. I was a Mandago and I was hooked and I came back 2 more times. I was much younger then. But in any event, I went to Panorama. And then I also watched, instead of going one time, I watched it on television. I was amazed because it was like being in sports. It was like having the pregame show, talking about what was going to be done, and then they had the performance, and then they had a review of what happened. And I just thought it was great. And it just is I'm just so thankful to be here because I think if we all would take the time to learn about other cultures, this world would be a better place. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? I want someone to make an introduction. It's a very important dignitary in the audience. I want him to introduce himself.
Oh, no, we're not about that person. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to be here. My name is Gerald James, president of the Grenada Association, and it's an honor to be here. I learned a lot. I think I know my country, but I know shit. Especially about the job, you know. Job is everything, you know. And thank you, Bombo. Thank you, Michael. And as I hear sitting on here, I think on the day, like you rightly said, like the ancestors just talking to me, like how we change this from this nakedness that is carnival now, that the commercial people is putting on, like what they do now to Christmas and everything now, you know what I mean? And I feel they're taking away our culture from us, you know? And we have to go back to the roots. So I don't know how we're gonna start, but I think with this evening, little by little, we could chip away and bring back. Right now I'm thinking how to bring this chutney for next year carnival. You understand? Or how to bring this, you know? And together with my sister, we're gonna make it happen. You know? Much love. Let me stop by the ancestors talking. Like, all right.
Boss, I can see you getting emotional there. I can tell you that I feel it too because my skin is crawling. I told you that. Once you see you talking about the job, brother, you're talking about culture and history, ancestors will be around you. I can see that, bro. I can see that. Yeah. But we're going to make it happen. We will one day, we will make it happen. We're going to show the people that, you know, that we can still do it. We're going to bring back and take back our culture for people who just. And another thing I want to say, you know, they're taking the jab and making commercial, and that's something they need to stop. I mean, everybody here is a jab, not so? Everybody inside is not a jab. It's a jab. Everybody inside is a jab, because we all come from Africa. No matter what, it could be black or white. There's South Africans, there's North Africans, there's West Africans, there's East Africans, and there's North Africans. I'm from the North. I'm a North African. So I'm proud to be a North African, but we are all Africans. And let's be proud of ourselves and our color. Don't let down yourself, please. Thank you.
We have a question back here.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Not really a question. I just happened to hear about this event and decided to come pay a visit. My name is Kenny Atai, from Trinidad, and we actually started a carnival museum 3 years ago in Port Spain. I chair the steering committee, and the sentiment I'm hearing here is exactly why we decided that a carnival museum must be something that is established, a home for carnival, where we make sure that people know what is the real meaning of carnival. People know what is the history that brought us to where we are. And yes, the music that we hear, it's all African. You mentioned the DNA. It is in the DNA of every Caribbean person when they hear music. Just 1 year, 2 year old, they only have to hear the music and you can see it coming out in the mirror. It's amazing. Right? But carnival has a lot of history, has a lot of meaning. It is a very ritual based event that we have to be careful that we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. In the museum, we were able to get 3 years ago, probably you will know the Penny Bank building, the corner of Duke and Charlotte Street, which was vacant for 10 years. And we were able to win that through a bid. And among Professor Hollis Liverpool joined us, Rosalind Gabriel and myself, we formed an NGO, and we decided that we're going to make this thing happen.
Say that last name again, because this is who did their dissertation, Rebellion, College Chapter. That book is my Bible. That book is my Bible. Whenever I need to refer to something, I go back to how it's struck us. In fact, I left it on the table. We're supposed to walk with it.
Yes.
But yeah, if you really want to learn who he's talking about, the work that
name on the book again?
Hollis chalked us. And the book is called, I think it's Roots, Rebellion of Carnival.
So he has written about 20 books on carnival.
But this particular one was his dissertation. And this book looks like
just last night I spoke with him, and yesterday I spoke with him, and we are now creating a bookshop, a gift shop in the museum, and we're going to have all his books. Not only his books, but all the local books on carnival, whether it is pan, mass, or calypso. We're going to have that available in the gift shop. So we decided that we're not going to wait on any government to do what belongs to us. So we took it up on our own. We begged for money. We got a little bit from the government to start with, and we started renovating the building. So far, we have done 5 exhibitions, temporary exhibitions. And carnival is all about stories. Right? So that's our thing. It's all about stories. The first one was the story of carnival. The second one was the story of Juve. We actually created a backyard, and the children were able to come, put their hand in mud up themselves, put their hand in paint. We had a few mannequins dress up. They spray down the mannequins, right? And before they left, we had a big board and get everybody to put the print. Put it in paint and print it onto the. So we have that there as part of the third one we did was the story of Pan. You had mentioned Pan. We had a local artist who drew 17 paintings on the story of Pan from skin drums to tambour bamboo to biscuiting to half drum, all the way up to panorama. A collection of 17 paintings that tells the entire story. We have had probably about 20 schools so far. We're trying to encourage the young ones to come and actually see it. We have tambour bamboo for them to play with. We have drums for them to play with. We have pan for them to play with. After that, we had the woman in Calypso, the story of all the women in Calypso. And the last one we had was because cricket is so popular in the Caribbean, there are 260 calypsos written and sung on cricket. So we decided to have a cricket and calypso exhibition. And we created a little cricket pitch with all the equipment and get all the little children from schools to come and actually play with the little bats and balls and so on. So the next exhibition that we're going to do is in end of November, probably just before Christmas, is on Masquerade. Right? So we did Pan, we did Calypso, we did Masquerade. And that will run straight into past Carnival season. And we're looking at from the golden era, mass costumes from the golden era, where you could really see what the creativity on our people that the little children don't know about. Even some of the mass bands now that into the bikini beads, that when you ask them about the golden era, they don't know. But there's a special demographic that is looking for that. As a business, you're feeling a need. But I keep telling the band leaders and the masqueraders, it's a pie, and everybody has a share in it. But if you don't use up your share, somebody's going to take it. Right? So yes, you have bikini and beads, but there's room for traditional mass, right? And traditional carnival. Right? But we need to promote it. As a matter of fact, why I came here when I saw the Ole Mas. Right now, we are looking to put on the museum that is a genuine old-time Ole Mas band competition, where you come, you dress up, and you with your placard. You must have a placard, and that will sort of show the young ones, especially we targeting the schools, how you can be creative in just 2-3 sentences. Or even one sentence. So we are doing our part, and I don't know if Mandy is here, but Mandy is the one that I spoke with when I came the first time. I just happened to pass by an island space about 4 or 5 months ago, and I came, and I said, while I'm up here, let me see what we can do, and I'm quite willing to help probably provide some sort of posters or costumes that can help increase what people come in here to see. So thanks very much. I like it. I came late, I came from work, but quite happy to be here and hear what Grenada is doing. But yeah, there's no competition. There's no competition. And what you said, yeah. If it wasn't for the influx of all those people from the French islands, we would not be where we are right now. Right? So even when Sparrow spent most of his life in Trinidad, when people hear he's a Grenadian, they figure that it started in Grenada. Trinidad is a cosmopolitan place, a true cosmopolitan place, and one of the first places where they demonstrated what recycling is. From a discarded oil drum to what it is we have now. Nobody else can prove that. We knew what recycling is. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
So I thank you for sharing, for standing up. Because what you're speaking about is something that it's being lost. And if you remember, there was something in the spirit of Tanti and Nate in the mass camp sewing jewels and things. It was something, you need that. And now you're outsourcing to China. People don't feel it and understand it. People used to get excited as the days leading up, just excited to see the trucks. You can't have it if you don't have the people. And then you spoke about, we're not waiting for the government. The spirit of Pan-Africanism is very strong in the Caribbean, particularly with Trinidad, because you have H. Sylvester Williams, C.L.R. James, Eric Williams. You have some of the major Pan-Africanists, along with Kwame Nkrumah, even later on Frantz Fanon, coming out of the Caribbean, because the Caribbean had a very strong sense of Pan-Africanism. So yes, you don't wait for somebody to do it for you. You make a way, so hence that drum comes. Whatever material you need for costuming, you ain't waiting for somebody to bring it to you. You get to sew it.
And that's a great segue. That was one of my visions in even doing Afro-Caribbean Festival, when I found out how much Africans in that particular area get paid. And I know that Africans are some wonderful tailors. It's like, why are we getting costumes sent from China? These people work for the same price, you know, and it's a part of the culture. So that, I know I might not see it in my lifetime, but I would, and then I asked the question, why don't we have our own costume making factories in our islands? Why are we outsourcing our culture for other people to make money off of our culture? So it has multiple purposes of doing workshops like this, not only to talk about the historical connections and the connections to the origins of things, but also to bring in the conversation about economic empowerment and regaining our economic empowerment through our culture, because I feel, this is my standpoint, you can argue with me, but can't nobody fight me. We are giving away our culture. We are prostituting our culture, and too many other people are making money off of our culture, and it's just not, it doesn't sit right with me. I would think that when I brought a carnival to Africa, people would flock to that, but they rather go to Japan. And like, what they got to do, you know, Africa is where this thing came from, right? So the vision has duality or multiplicity, let me say that. So we want to continue to have these conversations about keeping our traditions sacred, not prostituting it, and making money off of it is okay when you're putting it back into the culture, when you're putting it back into the community, when it's going back into a museum in Trinidad that's teaching the young people about traditional mass. When those funds are coming back to a museum like Island Space Museum, who has to rely on grants and donations, we need to have these conversations about why isn't this a mass camp? So that people can come pick up their costume, but also learn. We have to start tapping into our innovative mind. And I'm gonna put my brother on the spot again too. Not asking permission, finding our own space. People who know me close, no, if you tell me no, she always say, this girl will find a bucket and stand on it and say, you stand here, we about to do this. Pull up your car, turn on it, we about to have a full concert. DJ what? We about to, so I believe in resourcefulness. That's my ancestors that raised up in me. So a lot of times I don't ask permission, I just do. So I even had to ask for forgiveness because I stepped up into Florida, South Florida, and did not acknowledge. I had all kind of people calling me like, who is you girl to come talk about Jab? Don't I see Barbados on you? But we have to be unapologetically aggressive to preserve our culture. And I say this a lot of times, you never see anyone going and taking over something sacred in other cultures like geisha. I don't see people running around talking about, oh, we're going to be geishas. We're gonna wear this authentic geisha. We're gonna learn how to become one and do this setup in the team. Now, there have been movies about it, but no one's flocking to do these things. No one's flocking to have their own Chinese New Year, because that is their culture. So why are we allowing in our soft spot of our DNA to want to share with everybody? We can't share with everybody. We got to share without giving it away. Understand?
Yes.
And I already said, we can agree to disagree. This is just my position. Because I'm watching too many people who don't respect the culture, who don't know the culture, who's not, and practically not a part of the culture, but they make money from the culture. They can care less. When Carnival done, they pocket full, they go on about their business. We live Carnival. We live Jab. We live Shortney. We live that historical connection. We live trying to elevate our community. So when are we going to do it for ourselves? So that is what I would like to see come out of these. And this will not be the last. Not at all. Maybe we get to do it in Trinidad.
We just want to see that we allow it to happen. I'm just want to say that we are allowing it to happen, and if we don't do something about it, it will continue. We have at least 5 major carnivals in the Caribbean. Right? Instead of everybody flocking outside of the Caribbean to get material and build costumes, why can't we, as one Caribbean, have all the costumes made, designed, and made in the Caribbean? That you have carnival throughout the year. Right? But we need some leadership. We need some people who couldn't care about the politicians and do a business just like how the people with the money see opportunities and go after it. But this is in our hands. Right now, I get a feeling that we here, once we go and jump up, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything is good. Right? But other people see the money in it and they're going after it. We can't blame them. But we need to spot the opportunity and go after it. Just as how we, in the museum, we have been created a mass camp in the museum. So the little children will come inside and go and make something with their hands and see what the mass camp life is like. But we really want a bigger mass camp where you can see people working throughout the night and providing costumes for every one of the carnivals in the Caribbean to start with.
Hey, and when you have the vision, you write it and make it plain, and it will come to pass. So that's why I say whatever I say, because I know that I have the spiritual power and ability to make things come to pass, even if my hand doesn't do it. So I'm putting in the atmosphere that we are going to have those leaders and those young people coming up that say, nah, I want to, because the one thing that I've noticed that I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm stateside, so I remember a while back the Mardi Gras in DC, around DC Carnival time, the big Queen and King costumes. I don't see that anymore. No one has that craftsmanship. It's very few people that still do that. And it's such a shame. I don't even see it on the scale that I used to in Miami Carnival as well. So it's that whole thing is dying out, and it shouldn't, because the iron work that it takes. Me learning how to bend wire to make, even though they become skimpy, but some of the wire bras, but knowing that it came from making the big King and Queen costumes and that workmanship that goes into that, and the creativity of creating this character and the story behind it. We've lost that. It's been dumbed down to wind up in the streets. And I like to walk up with the best of them, don't get me wrong. But that has been lost, and we have to. This is the beginning. It starts from just a few people, and then we spread the word. Like I said, this is not gonna be the only one. We're gonna try to do it. We're gonna definitely organize to do it bigger and better next year for Miami Carnival. And big up Miami Carnival for helping us get this done. Big up Mandy in the back, everybody wave. And this is not my closeout. I just like to say things when it's on my mind. We have some questions.
In defense of Pretty Jab, that's it. No, but I think because it's easier to market something that's sexy, and I would love to see our people sewing our own clothes as well. But when I was reading about Junkanoo and how that disappeared in Jamaica, it was because people didn't have the funds to make their own costumes for the bands, and people weren't supporting what they were doing. So just as people can put a lot of money behind Pretty Mas, we have to find a way to encourage people. And especially with this is really awesome. This talk was super awesome. We have to encourage people to financially support Ole Mas, traditional Mas as well.
Thank you. You had a question? Before my young ones go, they have to tell me something they learned. Hold on, Mama. What did you learn today? You knew nothing about Carnival until today. Were you scared of the jump?
No.
Great. Next one. You have that. What did you learn today too?
Everything.
Y'all just gonna be twins, huh? Y'all just learn. So now are you gonna play Mas? When you play Mas, you'll know what you're playing about, right?
Yes.
You are dismissed.
Hi, I didn't have a question, it's more of a comment. What I see with a lot of cultural celebrations, no matter whether it's Carnival or, some other countries' cultural celebrations, it's that it's not really documented. A lot of things, it's just passed down by word of mouth. And just using Carnival as an example, I've realized that the more commercial it's become, the less people, even the original people, want to share about it because they also want to get in on the, making money from it. So traditionally, any stories like for Jamaica with a Nancy or, Carnival, a lot of it is lost because it's not really, the history is not really documented, why things were done, what things mean. I did Carnival in Grenada 2 years ago, and I'm from New York, so I saw the Eastern Parkway, I did Philadelphia or whatever, but I do in Miami. And what I realized is Grenada was much more of a feel than any one of them here in the States. Last year I did Juve here, and part of the reason I'm not doing it this year is because it was such a different feel from Grenada. I'm like, I didn't even really see these in Juve. It's more the bands had their bikinis or whatever, and it's so expensive. Just back row was like almost $500, and I said I didn't really get the feel here last year that I did in Grenada. So now I'm seeing this, I'm like, is Juve here really Juve, or is it just commercial? So the thing is, I come from a legal background, so I believe in documentation, or else you're really you're gonna lose exactly what you're trying to bring back.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Sorry, I don't want to overtake, but I just want to follow up on what you were saying there, sister. Yes. The Caribbean on the whole, they are very oratory. Throughout the Caribbean, everybody from your grandparents always have a story to tell. That is a big strength for us in the Caribbean. What we don't have is the skills to document. And one of the things that we're trying to do right now is to see if we can get a foundation for and get some funds in it and teach young people how to document stories throughout the Caribbean. Because once that older generation goes, that whoever can remember, they remember, but very little documentation. And I think that is one of the things that, as a people, we need to follow up on.
She's gonna see, and it starts from something small. Now you have someone in the legal department to help with the documentation, and then that's very true. We do come from a background of oral tradition. You're about to die. Oral tradition, and that's very African as well. The revolution has started.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in revolution. Agree again. I see revolution start right here. We have an attorney. We have a documentarist there. Then we start the thing. You understand? It just takes a handful, you know. Right here, we can just be together and let's start work together and put things together. You understand? So I say, let's do it. Do like Nike, just do it.
And let's also take the opportunity, if you don't have to leave, to network, exchange information. My card is on the table. You can scan and you can get information about myself. Get someone's number, definitely network. We can come together. It starts small and just look how it grows. Miami Carnival is celebrating its 40th year. It started with a small group of people, and look what it's grown to. It's one of the largest carnivals in North America. So it takes just a small group of people of like minds, and then we draw in, our energy will draw in more like-minded people, and then you will see the growth and you will see the turn, because we have to preserve our culture. And I know that there are some people like, oh, we have to grow with the times, we have to market it, we have to, make money off of it, but we cannot make money off of it and prostitute it as well. That's the best way I could describe it, and to make it very impactful, that we can't prostitute our culture. It does need to be economically impacting our community, not just economically impacting other people. So when we went into Sierra Leone, we had documentation of the economic impact of us doing a small Caribbean carnival in the area where no one knew what carnival was. Yes, there was controversy because they are a very Muslim country. And so seeing some of us in our scantily clad costumes, they're very conservative, but not everyone. Some people welcomed us with open arms, but to bring that connection, and they love Juve now. So they always try to do a Juve now. But just bringing that's just one small instance, and it'll keep growing as we keep growing, as we keep spreading the word, as we network, as we pull together like-minded people. Bring the economic impact into the community, into spaces like this, into spaces like the museum in Trinidad. We're going to have to, you didn't hear me earlier that this is going to be a franchise and you're going to open up one in the DC area. Okay, I just wanted to let you know. There we go. And we're going to get a Jab display in here. These gentlemen are going to work together to get you some authentic Jab displays in this museum. It just starts with a vision, it starts with a passion, and we can make it happen. I know you had a question earlier. Bubble, who did the documentary that we played earlier? It was a part of the Sundance Film Festival.
The lady that does it, I think her name is Shireen Williams. She's from the country, but she resided in the United States. And she came to Grenada Same thing, looking for a job. And it was me again. Same thing with the Empress, come to Grenada looking for a job. It's me again. So I just represent the country and there's a job. Anywhere I go. Another thing I want to see, yeah? I want to see this thing going to the schools. Let's start teaching the young people about this history. Document it, put it in books so they can read about it. As my partner said, the revolution in Grenada, we don't even know nothing about it because it's not documented. We only talk word of mouth, but let's put it in history books so that young people can know about it. So someone could look into that and, do something about it just for me, please, thanks.
He already knows he has been commissioned to be a part of that literature. When I did backstory, I was looking for a job in Grenada for a video, and I asked Jabs to come participate. We were at Soca Monarch, and when I was videoing many of the Jabs, he turned to my camera and just did antics. I was like, he's an actor, I need him. But in talking with him as we were preparing to film the next day, he talked about the Maroons, that the Jabs were Maroons. And it resonated with me because oldest Maroon churches is in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and I visited there. I had the fortune of representing for the Caribbean, but also for those in South Carolina who are the Geechee Gullah people, who that history all comes from that area. And so they had a celebration at the Maroon Church. So when he said that, it resonated, and some of the things he was saying, I said, you're gonna write that. I'm gonna help you write your story and write those histories. All my writers out there, we have to come together and start writing these stories. I know everybody want to read the romantics and all those other things, but we need to write some other stories. And I am a writer, and I'm not just talking. I've written a children's book that's called Love Bug. Takes a character, and it celebrates the Caribbean culture through carnival, but it really promotes self-awareness and self-pride and making your own decisions. So I'm not just talking about it, I'm being about it. So anyone would like to collaborate on some writing, let's do that. Another aspect of carnival and Jab and Diablo that I'm delving into is in Panama, which we didn't talk about, and I know this is Hispanic heritage. I've been hearing it the whole time. There's a very rich culture, Caribbean culture in Panama as well. And they play a type of jab called Diablo. Their costumes are very intricate. I work with a band in the DMV area called Ethnic Essentials, and they keep that tradition alive. So it's a lot of people trying to keep the traditions alive. And the Caribbean history and culture is one that's systematically being stamped out. Even in Panama, when I visited there, a lot of the Black Panamanians don't even realize their Caribbean roots, especially because we go into the hoods. So in the hoods, these kids are speaking Spanish and they're not speaking English, but their great-grandmother and grandmothers are actually from Trinidad or from Barbados or so forth, because they came over to work on the canal, but they don't even know that, and they don't speak English. But in order to get a good paying job in Panama, you have to speak both languages. So you systematically being kept in poverty because you don't know who you are and what your history is. And just a few days ago, one of their icons passed away. He was one of the first Caribbean people to captain and steer through the canal. He's one of my friend's uncles. He died at, I think he was 106. To have met this man and that piece of history was mind-blowing. And to know that all over the world where Caribbean people are, even if they're not directly in the Caribbean, we still have impact. and we're still having our histories erased. It is my mission to try to make sure that, and there's a museum in Panama, that's the Afro-Caribbean Museum. So if you ever travel to Panama, make sure that you go visit that museum. And let's get back to taking our children to the museums that celebrate our culture.
I have one last thing to say before I think we eventually wrap up. But a lot of you spoke on different things that had me thinking, and also I'm an educator. I'm also in media, so two very important industries that I feel honored and blessed to work in and learn about as I get older. And just understanding the importance of storytelling, but in those instances, in those places, in the museums with the children, and starting with the youth and teaching them from young and getting them involved from young. Like, I didn't play maths when I was little. I mean, I wish, but you know, there is there is the monetary part that does hold a lot of people back. But starting with stories, books, you know, children's books, getting in touch with colleges and those departments, like the Latin American and Caribbean Studies departments. I tried to take a history of carnival class, and they told me it would not count towards my minor at SUNY Albany, my history minor. So that was, you know, that was very, very disappointing, and I'll never forget that. But speaking to people like that are involved in those courses and those professors and individuals whose mission is to spread the word, and media people who are telling those stories through video and digital means, and like the film you mentioned, and sharing those videos like as far and wide as you possibly can, the books and everything, and just creating spaces where we can continue to tell those stories and share people's work, where it's their art, but it's also all of our stories, and it's our culture and it's our history. So we all should know it. Everybody should know it and be able to learn it, and it should be a bigger, honestly, a major in schools, you know, from young and up to old, right? Like higher education and stuff. So just keep sharing and keep stressing the importance of knowing and sharing that with the little ones and telling them, you know, this is you. This is about you. This is where you come from. This is about your people. So yeah, let's keep it going.
All right. Anyone else for the good of the order? Well, as I mentioned before, I am an artist, so I would be remiss if I did not make y'all sing. Yes, we're about to sing. Go ahead.
Sorry, speaking of media, look, I be forgetting to share my own stuff sometimes, but so I started playing shortly because of my boyfriend, and he actually started this shortly. Man, can you stand up real quick? So he played in Grenada, but he brought this out to New York, and so it's called Spice Island Shortney. We're on Instagram at Spice Island Shortney, literally just spelled out just like that. Also on Facebook, and he started a YouTube page. So again, the media, you know, sharing those videos and telling people a little bit about where it comes from, and the history behind it, and where you can find it in Grenada. And so just follow us, ask questions, you know, message us, and yes, and Carnival Haven is another one. I know, Sam. I don't have anything to show how that's spelled, but it's literally Carnival, and Haven is Haven. So I also do events in Brooklyn, New Haven, Connecticut, where I currently reside, and I try to come out wherever I can to bring a little bit of the history and the stories of the people who are behind the mask and who are behind the music, and everything that entails Carnival, because Carnival is in all of us. You find it everywhere. There's so many people involved who are in different industries, and so that's what makes it special for me. So follow us, Spice Island Shortly, Carnival Haven, and let's link, let's connect. You know, let's bring out these very important stories and things that need to happen.
All right, Sarah, do you have any way? She's like, don't follow me, just do the work. And you can follow, I'm big up my marketing team, finally touchdown, planes delayed and everything. I see the difference in the back, but also to follow with marketing and management. Bumblebee D, the letter D, Jab on Instagram. Make sure you follow. It's a new Instagram page. Build that up. You're not talking no more. because he'll tell you a whole nother story. I'd like for Mandy to come up and say a few words. Please give her a big hand. Without her, we would not be here.
Thank you guys for coming. My name is Mandy. I am the manager for Island Space Caribbean Museum. One thing I want to share with you guys is that we are the only current Pan-Caribbean museum in the United States, and that is extremely important because this is a place where we are able to tell our story in our own voice without any edits, without being apologetic about it. We tell our story, and you will be able to do so if you have not as of yet taken a tour. You will learn about where we come from, who we are, the things that we use, and how similar we are throughout the country. So I'm from Haiti, my husband's from Jamaica, and we always talk about the differences and the similarities that happens within our home. So that's the beauty of this space. We do host events here. We have panel discussions like this one. For those that are Floridians that live here, next 2 weeks from now, we have next week, we have our Rum Cake Festival. So if you like rum cake, please spread the word. Come and taste. We have 16 different countries being represented. So like we said, including Grenada. Yes. And then the week after that, we have a 2-day book fair. It is free for everyone. The first day is going to be for children. We're going to have workshops for them to learn how to do creative writing, acting out their writing, illustration. We're also going to have a slam for the young adults where they're going to be able to perform right here, okay, with actual panel judges that are in the industry right now. So please make sure that you guys come out, support us. Like she mentioned, Empress, we are only here based off of donations and grants. Okay, so we do lean very heavily on our community to participate and us continuing to be here and continuing to grow. So thank you for coming. Please enjoy and have a good day.